What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis, your coach of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for the Champions of Galar tournament week 7 battle, when we go up against Calais Knight 74 and his team being the Calgary Flamethrowers. He is a very competent player. I don't know why I stumbled on that word. He's a very good player in Draft League format who has been recently joined in a Wi-Fi scene, and he's someone that I heard from people like Aquarius, for example, that who has had chance to go up against him, that he's definitely a solid player to watch out for if you happen to play him in this league. And it happens to be the case that we get to play in week 7, but it's gonna be a new experience for me as a coach to go up against him, so I'm excited for that. And going to this matchup, I'm actually gonna very briefly at first cover the transactions that I didn't mention in last week, because this will be the final team that we are gonna be using the rest of the season. Then we're gonna be going through my team, which is I've been kind of calling it in my couple of mock battles that I've been doing. Shoutouts to Aquarius and Shaco King who gave me the mocks. I've been calling this team that I built as a B team, also because that we are solid in 5-1 record-wise, and we have 3 more weeks to go. And the last 3 weeks of my opponents, they're fighting for playoff spots, and they could be people that I play in round 1 potentially. So I don't want to bring my best team, but I do think based on the mocks that I have had, I have a good chance to win, cause I do think the team is good enough to do it. But now we're gonna be talking about the free agency moves that I made going into week 6, which was the past week battle that they already were access for me to use, and those were Goregeist and Heatmore. Now, the Heatmore one might be a little bit of odd one, but that was just a 2-pointer that I saw at the time when I was kind of going through this progress of thinking any kind of changes. It was the one that stood out for me, that if there's any matchup come in play, it's most likely gonna do something compared to the rest of the field that was available to me. And the main reason why I wanted to make this transaction was to get access to Goregeist, which actually just Lucas, who is one of the coaches in the league, but not someone that I did have chance to go up against this season, and he's not likely to make the playoffs. He actually had access to Goregeist in itself, and I mentioned it after the draft and throughout the season that if he has any interest of moving it, I will contact him at some point once I'm fully convinced that I want to make this trade. And I did end up doing it, more so because I wanted to address 2 typings that I noticed that my draft could use having a better answer for, that I already did originally with me having type Nova Appleton plus the rest of the team, and those were ground type hits and fighting type hits, especially the fighting type hits. Throughout this season, even though we have been very successful doing it, I had to always run Togeki's pretty much a potato defensive set, which you're gonna be seeing as a kind of right now as a cutting scene, that what kind of sets they have been. And while they've been successful and effective, I don't want to have that kind of tradition throughout the season as we enter to the playoffs, because that becomes very predictable. And going to playoffs, I'm sure my opponents will have me fully scouted what they can throughout my videos to see what kind of sets that I'm running. So I wanted to have a little bit more diversity when it comes to my defensive options, and Goregeist to me kind of fulfilled that desire and need that I have to deal with fighting types. And it also covers me a little bit of crown resistance that I could have used, because I have things like Zeraora, Chiratsi, and Nidoking, for example, weak to ground, and my crown immunities or resist were my flying types and Appleton. And Appleton didn't really, unfortunately, have the real chance to shine, as I do still believe that that Pokemon can do in Draft League format, but it's just how my schedule worked out this season, and based on the teams that are going to playoffs, it just didn't have a very high chance of coming any of those games. So I was more so keen on upgrading him as my grass type and also getting a fighting immunity, and that's basically the whole concept of my free agency transactions for the motivations. And the Heatmore is just there as a filler mon that I think that may have chance to come compared to the rest of this stuff. But now let's go through the team builder part. I probably already put a timestamp before if people weren't interested in the transactions, but for those that listen to that but want to see the battle afterwards, the timestamp for the battle will be popping right about now on your screen, as my Chiratsi and my battle screen was already going black. So we are definitely on a point that we should be moving towards to. So now we're gonna be going briefly the team, and for those, you had the option to skip into the battle pause of the video if you wanna skip this one. So we are gonna be starting up with the Chiratsi that is here to check the special attackers of Latios, Ribombi and Jinx, for example. Mainly the Latios, to be honest, that's what I expect to show up. So we are running special defensive Jirachi with Iron Head, Toxic, Wish, Protect. This is a risky set in a couple of reasons, that I don't touch his steel types really well at all, especially a Bishop. And I actually don't touch Vileplume at all, which this thing might end up being my first initial switching for it, but I'm kind of banking on the fact that he won't risk it immediately versus a Jirachi until he knows my full moveset. And I wanted to pack the Toxic to support my next member of the team and get the Rotom hit on a timer that I definitely think does come, because it deals well with the Jirachi, Togekiss and even Zeraora to extend, and it can always Toxic some of my things like a Seismitoad that is very likely switching to it, which we're gonna be bringing, and I fully expect it to be Toxic, but it's just nice to get that thing on a timer, and I don't expect him to run Restock versus me, and I don't see him having likely Cleric options on his team, so hopefully the Toxic is there to stay once I get it off on the Rotom. So the next member of our team gets a chance to shine, which is going to be that Togekiss, not this time to be the defensive, like I mentioned on the free agency reasonings why I want the Gourgeist. I want to use Togekiss more versatile, because I do believe it can be very solid fairy type in a Galarian dex. And this week we are running the Nasty Plot again, just like week 1, but now we are opting to have Flamethrower, cause that should be enough to kill a Bishop and 2-hit KO a Corviknight at +2. And if I happen to see that the Rotom hit is not fast enough for my Togekiss with the speed creep that I have, I can flinch it down with the air slashes alongside it being on Toxic timer, and this thing can pretty much break down his defensive core, which could be likely a scenario that we see like a Swampert, Vileplume and Snorlax, for example. Snorlax will be slower one to get through, but as long as we do get those +2 air slashes off on it and it doesn't get a chance to move, we do bypass it, and I have another measurement also deal with it. But most importantly, this thing is there to break the team down and being a potential winning condition if he doesn't have good ways to revenge killing me anymore. And then we are gonna be bringing our Talonflame, which is gonna be kind of serving the purpose that Zeraora has done most weeks. You're gonna notice soon enough that I don't actually bring none of my high tier mons, and that's why I'm calling this as a B team. We are not bringing Zeraora, we are not bringing Kyurem, we are not bringing Nidoking. I know, very odd scenario in its sense, but this thing is gonna be providing us the speed control over things like Bombay and Latios, for example, and I can have a guarantee initiative that the Zeraora, for example, couldn't provide with Volt Switch versus a Swampert team. So we have a U-turner in Talonflame, and Dual Stab, U-turn and Roost is pretty solid here, and we are running the Flame Body ability. And I didn't notice to mention on Togekiss, but obviously we are running the Serene Grace on it because we are running Air Slash on it. So that's the Talonflame, and then we are gonna be bringing one of our debuting mons for this season, which is gonna be the Great Pumpkin, the Gourgeist. This is from a cartoon, I think, Charlie Bound reference, as one of the episodes. Shoutouts to those that knows the Halloween episode, but that's basically the reference, because I couldn't think of any better name for the Gourgeist. But more importantly, what does it do in this matchup? We are running Poltergeist, Will-O-Wisp, Destiny Bond, and Synthesis. We are running the large form and not the super size. I know McDonald's. We are really going in depth in sizes with this Pokemon, but it's pretty important, because with the large size we still have a good amount of defensive stat, but then we can outpace a Adamant Max Speed Conkeldurr more likely and get off a Destiny Bond that could be very clutch for some of my other members, because I do expect to Conkeldurr to come, and he's been really loving to use the Guts Flame Up as a wall breaking set, and he's gonna be using his pivots to get in as often as possible. So if I eliminate that breaker tool that he has, that he tries to make it shine, and it could do that versus me, it could be a big advantage for me, and taking away from his side how he can play out the rest of the battle. Will always be just nice to be able to burn the Bishop or the Corviknight, which could wall me to death, to be honest, and Poltergeist was just nice stab to have off the chance, and none of the mons have been knocked off from his side, or they have used their items already. And then we are running the Whisk ability, of course, which can be clutch to be able to intensify the items if I bring it in versus something that hasn't revealed this item yet. And then the next member of our team is going to be Seismitoad, which has to always come, obviously, when we go up against something like a Rotom. And we are running Dual Stab with Scald, Earth Power. Then we have Crash Knot, just in case if I can catch off this Swampert 1v1 at some point of the battle, and he's already kind of doesn't have an idea that if I have it or not. I might not click it too early in the game. I probably will prioritize rocks first, but let's say in midway through the battle, if I haven't shown to go for it versus a swamp, but maybe I get a chance to catch it off guard, and that way we can get a good damage off on it. But other than that, it's here to deal with the random heat alongside with leftovers, and we have a decent amount of speed investment just in case if it comes in handy. If it's like no speed random heat, for example. So that's going to be the size method, and then the final member of our team is going to be Scrafty with a shed skin, leftovers, with dual stab, with train punch and knock off. Then we have bulk up and rest, and this is here to be mixed defensive, kind of pivot in a way that it can come in and sponsor a hit. It obviously doesn't have momentum, which usually pivots off for, but it's meant to take some key hits like a +2 life for Byron Head from a bishop after rocks. If that thing gets out of hand, for example, and we can kill it with a train punch, this thing alongside with the shed skin and the bulk that we have, alongside with rest and bulk up, beats the Snorlax 1v1. And as long as he doesn't bring like a Ribombe or the Vileplume doesn't have Moonblast, this thing can actually be a huge nuisance for him to deal with 1v1 and try to find a proper save, switch into it and actually beat it 1v1 in that way. So I kind of like this Scrafty set. It can do some work for us, but that's gonna be the quote-unquote B team that I'm bringing for this week, that I think is good enough to win, but I'm not revealing too much to a potential run one opponent being Calais Knight 74, who I think has to go all in this battle in order to have a chance to go into playoffs, because he's sitting at 3-3 and +2 differential. But that's the team, and now let's go and see how this battle is turning out. Okay, here we are with the battle versus Calais Knight 74. I'm expecting to be a tough fight because the reputation that he has, he seems to be a very competent and solid player. And this is kind of do and die game for my opponent, whereas for me, I'm bringing kind of like a B team that I think is good enough to win. But considering the fact that this is a potential round 1 opponent for playoffs, if and assuming when I make there, I'm looking pretty good for that regard. I don't want to reveal my best team for him, so it's gonna be tough fight this week, but let's see what he brings. It's gonna be interesting to see. I expect to see more or less this kind of makes sense, not gonna lie. Okay, so he brought Conkeldurr, Snorlax. He's probably gonna be surprised he didn't see my top 3 like Zeraora, Kiremon, Nidoking, which is kind of what I expected these first 2 months or 3 months to be here to deal with. He has Swampert as well, Gladios, and a Corviknight. I'm glad that I put the Flamethrower on my Togekiss, just for the Corviknight. But who do I like as a lead? Interesting. I could honestly just lead with my Size Method, because it deals well with the Swampert lead. I can Grass Knot it turn 1 if I need to, I can Scald the Rotom Heat in itself. Conkeldurr, I have my swapping into the Gourgeist and hopefully bait it and let it die turn 1. Versus Latios, I swap into Jirachi, and yeah, I think that should be okay as a lead. It's been a pretty common lead for my end, so it might be okay for me to lead with it, just to see what his first initial plan would be to deal with it. But good luck and have fun to Calais Knight. He brought his top end, I'm kind of bringing my lower end, so this is gonna be like high tier stuff going up against the low tier stuff. I do have like Jirachi and Togekiss, which you would call to be high tier ones, but he brought the scary team. He brought definitely the scary team, so we'll see how this is gonna be going. Hope it's gonna be at least close and fun game. That's definitely what I'm hoping to at least to see, for my sake and obviously for your viewers' sake. Just for the entertainment value. Alright. He leads with the Corviknight turn 1. I think my best initial response to this would be swapping into Talonflame, because if he clicks U-turn for example, I can at least get a Flame Body off, so I don't stay in to try to fish for a Scald Burn. I'll just immediately swap into my Talonflame. He has to kind of respect that maybe I have a mixed set with the Talonflame as well. He's Reflect on it. Okay, this could be dual screens then. Okay, he brought Reflect. Interesting turn 1. I could honestly just go for a Flare Blitz just to get some initial damage on this thing. he might stay in and go for the light screen as well, but he could honestly just hard swap, and he does go into the Swampert, which is okay. I don't have Gale Winds, so breaking a potential Gale Winds wasn't really an issue. We do nothing to it, but that was more or less expected. We don't see leftovers, but I'll go for the U-turn. He's probably gonna be getting up his Stealth Rocks, but I'll do the same thing myself turn after. But okay, he revealed to have Reflect on the Corviknight. Swampert is at 95%. We do get the U-turn off, we'll probably get it just a slightly lower. I would call that like 87% sure. Let's go with that. Let's go with 87% and we go into our size method. He could go for the Toxic as well if he predicts this. But I expect the Stealth Rocks to go up. No, he just goes for the flip turn, okay. Turn 1 flip turn. He could try to scout the Grass Knot. But honestly, I'll rather just to make sure I get something out of the turn. I'll click Stealth Rocks first. Okay, he does stay in. I'll go for the Rocks. He could also be Rindoberry on this, so he may have been okay just staying in and go for Rocks himself. So we extend the Rocks, which I'm okay by. But now I'll just get the damage on this thing. I'll go for the Grass Knot. I do expect the Rindoberry on it. But it's still nice to get some damage off on it. Okay, he does swap. Okay. So he played around that pretty appropriately in that regard. But next time around, I know that the Swampert should not be able to. He cannot regain the initiative for free with his Rotom and the Swampert because of this set. And I think again I'll just go into my Talonflame. If he values going for something like U-turn, which he could pack on this set for the initiative, I can potentially get the Flame Bunny off on it. Okay, he does go for the U-turn. Do we get a Flame Bunny, Katniss? Come on, Katniss, I know you can do it. Ah, not yet at least, but we'll keep fishing for that when the opportunity comes. But not sure what he can really bring in safely here. Like, that can really deter me not to click U-turn. He goes into the Snorlax, which I'm fine with. And he reveals to have leftovers. So we see leftovers. I assume this to be Thick Fat. I do have to remember the Reflect is up, so Scrafty needs to bulk up alongside this if he tries to get out of hand. But we get a U-turn chip on this. And we just go into our Scrafty. The Scrafty shouldn't really have too much other purpose for this game. Other than just dealing with this thing, primary 1v1. As he does go for the curse, so now I will start bulking up on this. Because I need to actually check that the... And I know that this is not Chopo because of the leftovers have been revealed. So I will click bulk up, but before I click it, I'll check how many turns of Reflect he has, assuming he has Light Clay. So we click info. This should be the final turn. And he's revealed to be the Light Clay. So I bulk up here. I can put the Light Clay on the Corviknight, which probably was expected, to be honest, seeing the screen option that he utilized on it. But that's good to know, cause that most likely means that the Corviknight is not set up in itself. But we'll go for the bulk up. This shouldn't do too much to us, because we nullify its attack. And at this point I am relatively free to click Drain Punch here. His fighting resist is the Latios, which I can still beat 1v1. I could also go for the knockoff, but I think Drain Punch is fine to gain some health back. This also hits the Conkeldurr on a swapping a little bit harder. Granted, getting rid of the Flame Boba would be nice if he would be packing it, but ideally my Gourgeist can just eliminate it 1v1. if he sees that he has a 2-hit KO in front of it, cause there's a scenario that he could go for the Ice Punch predicting like the Gourgeist on a switching. He may think he can 1v1 me and expect him to kill me. So there's opportunity for me to Destiny Bot, but it has to kinda it has to show that way to my opponent in order for me to click it Destiny Bot. Before that it will be premature and then it won't work the rest of the battle. But he does withdraw, which is expected. He does go into the Swampert, which honestly I'm fine with. If I get damage on this thing, it means that Talonflame is looking better and better as we go along. And we gain good amount of health back. We have Shed Skin on this, so the potential Toxic is not really threatening us too much. So I think I'll go for it again, to be honest. Now I'll go for the knockoff. Knockoff should do a little bit more and we should outpace it, so gaining health this turn is not essential. And we do get rid of the Window Berry. And he reveals to have Yawn on this, which isn't the worst case scenario. Cause now I'll just click Train Punch on this turn if he happens to go into Conkeldurr for whatever reason. But I have the Shed Skin, so this Yawn isn't the biggest deal in the world. And I rather actually, like, I have the option to go into Seismitoad, but I rather get damage on this Conkeldurr. So we'll see how much we do to this thing. We did a decent chunk. That thing is at 60% now, which I'll definitely take. We do not see the Flame Up, so this could be a Salt Vest for potential Kurem and Nidoking that I could have brought. But we go into Gourgeist. I'm not too worried about this thing being asleep. And again, if I would have swapped into the Seismitoad, it really would have not gotten me any further than instead of getting this damage on Conkeldurr. We do see the Assault Vest, so we can review. We are able to confirm that. And here, what do I wanna do? I don't think he stays in. I think he swaps into the Swampert, but because I knocked it off, the Poltergeist doesn't actually touch it. So that's actually a little annoying in a hindsight to know this. But I think I'll Poltergeist regardless. If he swaps into the Swampert, I'll swap in versus it. Okay, he does go into the Corviknight instead, which I think I'll be okay with. We get up the Poltergeist off, and we do confirm the Light Play, but we already knew this by how many turns happened earlier. I could go for the Will-O-Wisp, predicting him to roost, and that would be pretty nice for me. I think I'll go for the Will-O-Wisp here. I think he's gonna be roosting. We do outpace it, which is nice. And we get the Corviknight burn, and this is really good for my Togekiss, as he does go for the roost. So this thing now is burnt, and we obviously confirm it its item in itself. But now I'll just swap into my Talonflame, which deals with this thing 1v1 relatively well. If he gets the Reflect up, I'm not too worried about it too much. My main offensive threat versus him is actually the Togekiss, as he does go for the Reflect. I think I'm probably okay just attacking here again, because there could be always a chance he sacks the Swampert instead. Or if he stays in, I still get good damage on him. And he cannot do too much back to me anymore, because he's burned, so Brave Bird won't do jack shit to me. He does a hard withdraw. Do we see the Swampert sack? No. He does go into the Rotom Heat. We do confirm that it should be heavy duty boots now, because he didn't take the Stealth Rock damage. And we got a decent damage off on you. I did have the Stealth Rocks up, right? Just to confirm this. Yeah, I had the Stealth Rocks up. I did click them. So I'm again free to U-turn on this. And I can kinda get an intel that what percent will be he left off on. That looks to be like 82% I would say. He's probably gonna be clicking Toxic, but I don't really care. My size method is always the initial swap into this thing. I don't really mind this. This is a very obvious play, but it's fine. Yeah, he does Toxic and lands it. So he's Toxic on this. Like, I could have gone into my Chirazi, but that doesn't really take me too much. And I kinda expected this to happen sooner than later on me anyway, so it's okay. And here I'm pretty much free to Scald. I don't really care too much, and I would rather just weaken something on a switching. So we click Scald. I expect him to withdraw. This could be the turn that he sacks this Swampert. No. Am I missing the fact that this Swampert is still alive? I need to check this. I'm kinda wondering right now why is it still like a thing in my mind. That could be sacked. I wonder if that's a 2-hit KO. Alongside with the burn. I feel like it's not. I don't think it's a 2-hit KO. I could go into my Togekiss this turn. And get up a Flamethrower off on something. Yeah, I think I'll go into Togekiss. Togekiss puts more pressure towards him, cause he will either get up a Roost or Reflect off. Yeah, he gets up the Roost off. And I'm pretty okay just going for a Flamethrower. I don't really feel like I need to predict. I could also go for the Nasty Plot, but the Rotom Heat is too healthy to really make that thing any... Like, it doesn't gain me too much yet. So I'd rather just attack it when it's in front of me and slowly whittle down that Rotom Heat for myself. He does stay in. So I will be able to get some good damage off on him. As he is light screen as well. Okay, so he's dual screens on this. Okay. I could reveal Nasty Plot here. I think I'll go for the Nasty Plot off the chance he stays in, but there's a good chance he might just hard withdraw to the... Okay, he does stay in, so I'm able to wear this down a little bit faster, being at +2. He does go for the Roost. I'm pretty sure he also revealed the U-turn, so he doesn't have any other attacking move than U-turn. And I feel like this might be a turn that he uses this as a slow initiative, so I'll go for the Flamethrower just to get something out of the turn. Because if I Nasty Plot prematurely, as he hard withdraws the Rotom Heat, I'm in a position that I have to decide that. Well, I'm not really in a position to even stay in. At that point I always just attack. So we get out some damage on this Rotom Heat. It won't do too much because of the light screen being up. But he should be now 50-66%, I will say that would be the range. And at this point I'll just make the simple size method play. This is a very slow... Okay, if he hard swaps, I know I'm faster. But there's a chance he just stays in. He pain splits. That's a good play. A little more unfortunate for me. So we know that it's Toxic and pain split. What was his previous swap into this Corviknight? I think it was the Corviknight. I could go into my Talonflame immediately on this. But actually keeping this thing low, I think I'd rather just scout this thing. Or the Corviknight on a swap. I don't think I need to swap yet at this point. He hard withdraws. And goes back to the Corviknight. Again, I don't really mind this too much. Because now he has to take this. He has to take Scald again. And then he's likely to U-turn. And I think on his U-turn, I probably go into Talonflame, because I can get up a like fast U-turn on the Rotom Heat and keep it low again. So I just go into my Katniss the Talonflame. I'd rather keep also Togekiss healthy just in case. Like U-turn won't do literally nothing, like do nothing from this, but like just for what it's worth. Okay, it does go for the Reflect again. But the further along the Rotom Heat gets worn down and my Seismitoad gets worn down alongside it. Alright, I was supposed to check his Mons. But it should be okay. I'll just Flare Blitz this turn. Like my layout is actually working a little bit against me at this point, because I wanted to check if the Swampert was still alive. I do kill it. I think that's a crit, right? That's a crit. Okay. I guess we take those. I guess it was like bound to happen that something dies in this game if the Swampert hasn't. So that's the first KO in this battle. And that's end of the screens once these are worn down. So in that sense it's actually a big deal. So that now I don't have to deal with the screens for too long. He goes into Quack, which is the Latios. I'm not risking this to be a Scarf for weakness policy. So I'll just start swapping to my Jirachi. This could be the turn for me that if I'm afford to click Toxic, this is the opportunity to get that Rotom Heat on a timer. But we'll see what he does. He Calm Minds up, so we need to Toxic this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go just for the Toxic here. Cause the Reflect is up, so I need to get this thing worn down. So we'll go for that. He might be thinking he's safe to Calm Mind because he's behind a Reflect. So there's a potential chance that he doesn't attack me yet this turn, which would be better for me if he doesn't. But he has revealed the Calm Mind. He Calm Minds again. And now let's Jirachi just get this Toxic off. Beautiful. And now I'll check how many turns of Reflect there are. To be honest, I'm probably always better off to click Wish. But just sake of it, because I mentioned it, how many Reflects you have off? You have like this one and then the extra turns. So I'm better off just wishing and try to prolong this until Talonflame revenges it. He goes for the Mystical Fire. This will do decent amount. And obviously lowers our special attack, but that's not the biggest deal in the world, because I am Iron Head, as you saw, so this doesn't really affect me too much. Plus the fact he's already +2 like with the Calm Mind on his defense side as well, so either way it wouldn't really make too much a difference. The Protect is pretty obvious, even though I haven't revealed it, but it's always my best bet to click it regardless, because I'd rather get this health guaranteed and rack up the Toxic damage. So we'll do just that. He may see this coming and goes for another Calm Mind. Yep. But he should not be able to kill me on the following turn, so I get up a Wish yet again. And I just need this to be a low amount of health through the Toxic, alongside with the fact that the Reflect will be worn off. There's always a chance that I could also go for the Iron Head if the Reflect is gone, but it's not off just yet. So we click Wish. I can actually note this down that this is Mystical Fire. We still took it just fine. This Jirachi is doing its job. It's very boring, but this is basically what I needed this thing for, to deal with this Latios. So my other members of the team can remain intact for what he has left of. If he has Roost, I don't really mind it too much. If he swaps, I don't mind it either. Protect is always fine. I gain my health for free. If he swaps, it means that I can preserve my protect on the following turn if I need to. He has roost. Okay. So this could be like Dragon Stab and Mystical Fire. Oh, I definitely think it's Dragon Stab then. And the Toxic is racking up, and the Reflect is gone. So, I think I'm okay Iron Heading this turn. Yeah. Just to make sure that this thing is low. Like, I could have gone for another Wish, but I don't think I live another hit afterwards. So it's better just to get this damage off. And now I can protect and the Toxic should do the job. If not, the Toxic might actually kill after that Iron Head damage as it is. Yep, okay. Jirachi did its job, the Latios is dealt with. It was a boring progress, but it was a progress necessary to be done in order for us to come on top of it. So, good job Jirachi, you did your thing. And if you go into Rotom Heat, I'll just click Toxic off the chance I get it off. But we are looking good in the, thus far. He does go into the Rotom Heat. Which I can note down that he's at 90% currently. So I'll click Toxic here. Ideally we are faster. No, he does go for the Volt Switch. This probably will kill me. Yeah, okay. So Jirachi does go down as our first member of the team, but it did its job. Like, getting a Toxic off on the Rotom Heat would have been the preferred one. But we dealt with the Latios, and I know based on the fact that he outpaced my Jirachi, he will outpace my Togekiss as well. So I gained the information there as well when it came for that turn. Ideally, it would have been that I got the information that I pasted and I got a Toxic off. That would have been the ideal situation, but I'm okay with what's been happening. As it goes into the Snorlax. I could go into my Scrafty here, expect to wake up eventually. Or I could go into my Gourgeist to Will-O-Wisp this. The third option is to go into Talonflame, but I think the best option is just to go into the Scrafty, because I am Shetskin. So sooner than later I expect myself to wake up, and like, it was Jan that turned us, Jan was the way that we got putting in a sleep. So in theory I think it's like 2 turns guaranteed sleep. Well, I should know this, I run rest talk almost all the time, so definitely that's the case. Alongside with the fact that we have Shetskin, it might be prolonging the progress. He does go for the Curse. I do have Will-O-Wisp plus Destiny Bond on the Gourgeist, which can still help on this progress, but ideally this just allows me to get this Scrafty going in itself and beat this thing. We haven't woken up yet. But ideally by the end of next turn we are woken up already. We have decent amount of defense investment and I'm Impish nature, so I should take the Body Slam okay. We still fall asleep, or we still are at sleep. He does go for the Body Slam, this shouldn't do too much. Yep, and we do get the Shetskin off. I think I'm okay just Drain Punching to ensure that I gain health this turn. I think that's the play, so let's go for the Drain Punch just to ensure damage and health. There's a decent chance he swaps because he knows that I'm bulk up, yep. I didn't think he will try to 1v1 me at this point, so I'd rather get this Drain Punch plus the Stealth Rock damage. As we do. And that is that's a good amount of health that we should be gaining back from this, cause Conkeldurr has decent HPs that he might not be fully invested. And he might be invested on the special defense side instead, but it's still health that I'll definitely take. If he doubles into the Rotom Heat, I really don't care too much, cause then I swap into the Seismitoad and current health that the Rotom Heat is sitting at. The Pain Split won't gain him health, and now I will see that if I'm faster or not if he makes a double with Scrafty, which is good information later on. As we already knew that it's a Southwest, as he just Drain Punches. Here, I think I'll just Poltergeist, cause if this Snorlax comes in front of me, I will simply just Will-O-Wisp it. There's a decent chance the Conkeldurr doesn't even have too much value for him, but he does preserve it still. I guess it's still valuable for this Scrafty. Okay, now he does go into this. This is just the opportunity for me to go into my Seismitoad. I don't think I want to stay in. I think. He could Earthquake here. I don't think he's No, I think I'm okay just Will-O-Wisping this. I don't think I'm forced to swap out. I'll just burn this. And this thing should be good as dead with the burn in itself. As he does go for the Flitter. He was okay giving health on the Seismitoad, because usually that's a health for the Rotom Heat as well. But now that Swampert is burned and basically dead, so I can put it like around 8% plus burnt. And now he goes into this. I will go into my Seismitoad. It's the primary thing to deal with this thing. Right now this Scrafty is looking definitely to be the winning condition with the bulk up, as he does go for the overhit. I could make a double if I really felt like it, but I think the Swampert will be sacked anyways. So I don't think I really gain too much by making a double, so I'll just click Scald. I'm also thinking about the timer scenario, that if we are getting to the point that time is running out from either of us, I better make sure it's not me. But he sacks this Swampert, it might die to Stealth Rocks as it is. It doesn't die, so Seismitoad, you get the direct kill. And you get to kill this. Okay. The Rotom Heat is by far the biggest threat to me, but Scrafty with its set can deal with it. Because we have Shed Skin and Drain Punch. And we should be slower than it, so we can always get a slower Drain Punch before or afterwards he Pain Split, so I think we can manage it. Conkeldurr is pretty much dealt with. It's still well alive that I have to address. I still have to worry about it slightly. But if Scrafty is at +1, knowing the fact that it's not Flame Offset, I can pretty much... Well, maybe there's a scenario that I should scout it if it's faster than me, because critical hit through that Conkeldurr can be something he can win off with. But Scrafty, once it's able to come in versus Snorlax, it can basically claim a kill. Just by clicking Drain Punch, for example. He goes into the Rotom Heat, he's expecting to outpace me, which is actually the case that it is. So him clicking Overhit might be okay, because then he will be at -2, which gives me this Scrafty. As he does go for the Overhit. And he does manage to kill me, which was expected. And then I think what we do is that we go into Scrafty. And then I'll decide that do I bulk up on the Conkeldurr swap-in. I actually want to see how much this Conkeldurr can do to me, because he is the Assault Vest set. And I have my Scrafty. If I'm at +1, I'm at 137 currently, but he will volt switch to get some damage off. I think my best bet is to Train Punch to punish the Conkeldurr swapping, to make sure that it's dead. As he does volt switch. He won't do anything to us. I'm pretty sure we definitely gain all that back through leftovers, and especially through the Train Punch. I feel like he has to sack the Conkeldurr, so I wanted to make sure that it dies. I think this should be enough to do it. If it doesn't, I'll just swap again. It barely lives. He does barely live. So I will not risk staying in. There's no way in this universe I will do that. I will always go into my Gourgeist. And it's important for me to think this thoroughly again, because I didn't actually check the timer, but probably the beginning of the next turn I'll just check quickly to be aware of it, how much we are each at. But this thing is basically a sack at this point. Which he may still try to preserve, to be honest. As he does Ice Punch. Which is a good play by him, but I'm not necessarily in a position that I have to actually click the Destiny Bomb, because he dies to Hazard Entry on my Poltergeist as it is. We do outpace it, and we do manage to kill it. Okay, good, the Conkeldurr is dead at least. So now it's just managing off dealing with the Rotom Heat. That's the only real threat to me. And obviously the Snorlax, but I'm assuming that the Scrafty in itself can deal with it. Now I don't think I need this thing any longer, so it would be better for me to let him overhit me. So I'll just click Poltergeist. I'm at 3 minutes myself, 3 minutes and 1 second. If he goes into this Snorlax, I synthesis up. I want to force him to, I guess, click Overhit. He could click Toxic as well. But nah, he does click Overhit instead. Which means that I can go into Scrafty and click Bulk Up, and that thing can kind of win from here. So it might be the best case scenario he did that. But Gourgeist, you did your job. You dealt with the Conkeldurr as I needed you to do. And now we go into our Scrafty, and I wanna say Scrafty should be able to win this one. DMX, I need you to pull this one off for us. I think the path is clear for you to win. We click Bulk Up. He will click Toxic, but we have Shed Skin. So we go Bulk Up from here. And now your Shed Skin should be able to help us with that, along with leftovers and Train Punches that we get off. I can honestly go for the knockoff to make sure this thing takes the... It will take the Stealth Rock damage. But I could also... Actually, Train Punch is better. It's always better to gain health instead of clicking knockoff that doesn't give me health. Okay, he does swap into the Snorlax, which means that I should be back at full health. And 2-hit KO that thing for sure. He will take the Stealth Rock damage to be at 88%. And him having so much HP on that thing and how much damage we get, we definitely go at full. We should be having 200% of health after clicking that Train Punch. That will do so much. And we gain so much health from that attack. Ideally, we get to pop up our Shed Skin at some point, but we just Train Punch again just to make sure that we are always at full health. And we do manage to kill off the Snorlax. Good job, DMX. You have only one Pokemon left to deal with, which is the Rotom Heat. And at this point, I think I'm always okay of just clicking Train Punch, I think. And we pop up the Shed Skin. That's perfect. Perfect scenario. Full health, no status. I could actually also click Bulk Up here, just to make sure I do as much damage that I need to, but I think I'll Drain Punch to cover a crit from his side. He does go for the Toxic, but we will just click Drain Punch. And I get to see how much this +1 Drain Punch does to this thing. We do over half, so that should be okay damage, even if he starts Pain Splitting. So I will just click Drain Punch again. As he Pain Splits. You're taking the health, but I'm taking the health back right after, so as long as we get the set skins off eventually, like, this should not be a problem to us at all. There we go. Good job with the set skins, Scrafty. DMX might be able to now just finish this off a lot sooner than we had to worry about. Honestly, I could just knock off here because it should do more damage to him. As he does go for the overhit. And we take that just fine. I'm pretty sure the knockoff should do more that because it should be base 90, I think. So that should be able to take care of the Rotom hit, and there we go. We are able to beat Calais Knight 74, who unfortunately for his sake will fall to 3 and 4, and what is that? -1 differential. We gain 3 differential alongside win, and I think 6 wins should secure our playoff spot if it wasn't secured yet. So great game to Calais Knight. Very, like, it was a draggy game, but it was very calculated game for our first game, and that's kind of what you can expect when two of the higher tier coaches in Wi-Fi scene go up against each other. Sometimes it goes really closely like this, that we have to kind of take our turns and rethink each turn, because versus the Latios, things could have gotten out of hand if I got forked and I got a crit from there, if I missed the Toxic, for example. So it was very crucial as well with that we didn't get unlucky in this game. I don't think I got lucky outside of like the crit on Corviknight, but we can see from my opponent's side, which you should be checking out. Of course, his link will be down below in the description. Maybe we hear from his side that how he feels about that crit, that did it ultimately matter too much. And then we can kind of, I guess, get a conclusion that if it did really change the outcome. I feel like it really didn't. It just proved the Corviknight, if it stayed around longer, prolonged the game. But obviously the screens also made it a lot slower progress for me to get through his team. But next week we are going up against Aquarius, who is in a similar position that Calais Knight is. That she is fighting for her playoff berth. So she will definitely need that win. I don't need to necessarily win anymore, but it doesn't mean that I'm going out without a fight. I will show up for that game and try to win it for my own sake, I guess, and for just being fair to the rest of the league. I should not be throwing versus my rest of the opponents, because they are in the middle of a playoff spot, so I should not be unsportsmanlike and throwing away my games. But until week 8, which I'm sure is gonna be a fun battle, stay tuned for that, and I'm gonna be see you guys later.